Hey everyone, it's B, and you're listening to another episode of the In Your Feelings podcast. So, for those of you who are new here, In Your Feelings is a podcast I created with Thought Catalog that dives into the very real and very messy aspects of life that we are all navigating. I create these episodes just to have honest conversations about things like relationships and growth and worthiness, things that can feel really disheartening and very confusing, in the hopes that within these 30 minutes or so, you feel less alone in what you're feeling, and you're reminded that you aren't the only person who is dealing with certain things in life. And before I get into everything, I did just quickly want to thank Amazon Prime Video for partnering with Thought Catalog to bring this episode to all of you. Because we lean so deeply into navigating the human experience in all that is light and all that is dark within it on this podcast, this partnership felt really aligned with Amazon's new show, The Wilds, because it explores the emotional highs and lows of being a human being in this world. So The Wilds follows a group of teens who must survive after a crash leaves them stranded. However, these girls don't end up on the island by accident. So not only is it, if I'm being completely honest here, just really addicting to binge watch because of that twist, the show really does such a beautiful job at illustrating the pressure of everyday life. The high emotions and challenges faced are just very honest and very real. And I think that as you watch these girls navigate how to not only survive the life and death stakes they're facing immediately after a plane crash, but also how they're navigating just dealing with hardship and balancing all of that fear and pulling strength out of themselves during an extremely difficult time, that's what resonated the most with me. And I think that's a theme that resonates so deeply with all of you here as well. So if you do want to watch the first episode of the show for free, you can check out the link in the description of this podcast, and all of the info will be there. I really think you'll like it, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. DM me on Instagram. All right, now for this week's episode. I have been thinking a lot about growth, and mainly I've been thinking about the kind of growth we don't even know is happening within us. The kind of growth that is quiet. And sometimes we can look to growth as being this large and looming thing in our lives. We can look at it as this thing that will just crack within us when we think it into existence or push ourselves to be a specific kind of way. Society has so many rules and suggestions for how to grow or for how to approach your journey. But if there's anything I've learned over the last few years of my life, it's that the most formative kind of growth we experience is often the kind we experience in the dark. And what I mean by that is, there were so many moments of my life growing up where I didn't think that I was moving towards understanding or healing or living as the kind of human being I had always hoped to be. Things felt difficult and gritty, and it felt like the world was weighing heavily within me. And I didn't wake up one morning and feel changed, and there wasn't this large internal shift within me where I was deeply aware of how far I had come or what I had to do in order to get to where I wanted to be. I fumbled with growth. It was a hard thing to even connect with because it didn't feel like I was blooming at times. It felt like I was being buried. And now I can look back on those moments and realize that that is when I was being introduced to growth. That those moments were the moments that would define and build me and make me stronger and more resilient despite how hard it was to see as it was actually unfolding in my life. And so I know especially this year that it can feel like you're stagnant, that it can feel like you aren't growing, that it can feel like you haven't come very far. I know that things are heavy right now. I know that it can be hard to connect with all of the ways you have survived, all of the small and sometimes subtle ways in which you have evolved. So I wanted to create a podcast episode that spoke to those somewhat uncomfortable, quiet ways in which we grow into ourselves as human beings. I think it's so important to connect with these markers because often when we're growing the most, we may not even realize it. We may put so much pressure on ourselves to evolve without realizing how far we've already come. This podcast episode is a little reminder to just be gentle with yourself on your journey and to connect with the fact that you're moving forward even when it doesn't feel like it. And so firstly, I want you to connect with how discomfort is a sign of growth. I know so many of you feel like this uncertainty is a little overwhelming right now. This last year has been really uncomfortable for a lot of you and myself as well, but we can reframe the discomfort. See, when we're growing, when we're slowly evolving and discovering our strength, it isn't necessarily easy. And as human beings, we often enjoy routine and structure and staying within our comfort zones, and transformation and evolution challenges that. It can feel like we're almost losing ourselves or that we don't know ourselves when we're dealing with really difficult situations or when we're navigating our journeys. What we don't know is that we're actually discovering ourselves. The comfort of staying the same is no longer a reality in our lives because we know deep down in our hearts and our minds that things have to change, that we have to adapt, that we are growing into someone different, that we're stretching into our future and taking all of the experiences we've had so far and allowing for them to mold us into people who are stronger. And it isn't easy to sit with that discomfort. And it's a very human thing to want to rush it out the door or sweep it under the rug. It isn't easy to realize that you want more from life or that you need more from yourself or those in your life. It isn't easy to drive yourself towards change because change is so mysterious and comfort is not. Comfort is safe and it is familiar and it doesn't ask us to be better or bigger or to take risks. But growth never occurs inside of a comfort zone. It occurs when you have faith in who you are becoming. It occurs when you leap even when your legs are trembling, even when you don't feel brave, even when you don't quite know what you're leaping towards. If you're finding it difficult to sit with your thoughts right now, if you're finding it difficult to just sit with the feelings inside of you that are telling you that you are destined for more or that things need to change, I hope you congratulate yourself. Don't vilify yourself for finding seasons of pressure and discomfort difficult. Embrace the fact that you're allowing yourself to feel these things. Embrace the fact that you're allowing yourself to question everything you know. It takes courage to look that kind of growth in the face. It really does. It takes courage to let go of familiarity and to choose risk. It takes courage to trust the part of yourself that knows that there is more in this life for you, that you can't stay small or hidden away any longer. It takes courage to be the person who decides to do things differently, to want different things. That is such a testament to growth, even though it feels really painful and really heavy at times. So don't run from those questions. Don't run from the discomfort. It's all here to build you. Okay, another sign of growth that I want all of you to connect with right now is within the fact that you have lost relationships. I know that it can be easy to look back on old relationships and friendships and to feel disheartened over their endings. I know it can be difficult to look back on all of those memories and all of those experiences and to think that someone you were so close with is now a stranger and to be really saddened by that. It can be difficult to sit with that and to turn that into a lesson, to see that as a form of growth when it really just feels like a deep loss in your life. But the truth is, losing relationships is a sign of growth, because it means that these people weren't necessarily growing with us along our journeys. And that's okay. They were growing in their own ways and dealing with their own things and becoming the human beings that they were meant to be. But sometimes those worlds don't align. And sometimes who we grow into forces us to outgrow those who we can no longer resonate with or relate to or connect with due to that growth and that change. And when we change, when life asks us to stretch into a different version of ourselves, that means that the way we view love and happiness and fulfillment also changes. And sometimes those we have so beautifully leaned on in the past, those we have connected with and resonated with, sometimes they cannot meet us where we are, where we end up. It is important to understand that sometimes you simply just can't bring your past with you into your future. It doesn't fit anymore. It becomes too heavy to hold. The relationships just don't stretch in the same way. They can't match that growth. And that isn't a sign of failure. It's important to understand how much strength it actually takes to walk away from those you have outgrown who you love. It's important to understand how much courage it takes to embrace the endings. How to let go of that comfort and know that you can no longer give your heart or your energy or your time to those who might not respect it or value it or meet it on its level anymore. And I hope this also in a way inspires you to see endings as beautiful, transformative stepping stones. It takes a lot of courage to let love and relationships move through you like rain, to not grip or seek to change them, to not ask people or circumstances to be more than they can be for you. It takes a lot of courage to see endings as the cornerstones of the chapters that changed you without really needing them to be a part of the rest of your journey. It takes a lot of courage to give yourself closure, to be your own home, to be your own safe place, to be alone for a while until the right people find you. It takes a lot of courage to not let the losses destroy you, to not let them burrow into the heart of who you are and convince you that you have failed or that you are unworthy of the happiness you are standing up for in your life. It takes a lot of courage to see the way in which you loved and tried and fought for something as a testament to just how deeply your capacity to feel is. Just how beautiful moments can be when you appreciate them for what they were instead of nullifying them or letting them harden you to the world. It takes a lot of courage to move forward. It does. It takes a lot of courage to walk away with grace, to let go. And that's why I will always see that as such a testament to growth. And I think within this concept of love and relationships changing, it's also important to connect with the fact that another sign of growth is to be found within the fact that your definition of happiness and success changes too when you're really, really becoming who you are meant to be. And that's one of my last points. I think that this is what a lot of us are realizing this year. This is what a lot of us are kind of connecting with. When the distractions of the world have been taken away, it forces us to connect with what truly makes us happy on our own terms. It forces us to connect with what success truly means to us. It forces us to connect with who we are outside of outward validation. And within that, it forces us to grow. It forces our definitions of how we want to live our lives to expand and to transform into something that is internal and rooted in our own hopes and our own feelings and our own desires, rather than what society has convinced us we want. And I think that's really special. It can feel overwhelming to realize that what we've worked for or what used to make us happy no longer fulfills us. That what we once wanted so deeply doesn't bring us joy, doesn't spark something deep within our hearts anymore. That can be really disorienting. And I think that's what a lot of us are feeling right now. But this is because we've all gone through so much internal growth over this last year. And it's important to really connect with that. And to give yourself permission to see it as a beautiful thing. You are no longer living on the surface of your life. You are no longer allowing yourself to be told how to live or what to want or how to approach your journey or your healing. You are here defining your own journey. You're defining what it means to be happy. You're defining what success means and looks like to you. And maybe defining is the wrong word. I feel like we're all redefining these definitions. And when you have the courage to do that, you're really choosing to make your life your own. You're choosing to let go of what no longer serves you, and you're choosing to move forward into a future you genuinely believe in. You're connecting with the small things, but the fact that happiness doesn't have to be this large and extravagant thing in your life. You're connecting with the moments that genuinely ignite your heart, that cause you to feel moments of peace and magic in this world, and you're holding on to those moments. You're connecting with the fact that success isn't about how much you earn or the title of your job or anything along those lines. You're connecting with the fact that success, real success, exists in liking yourself, in being kinder to yourself, in enjoying your life and living each day filled with gratitude and compassion and empathy. You're connecting with the fact that success exists in making others feel special here, in making them feel seen. Success is so much more than money or fame or anything along those lines. You're realizing that success is being proud of the person you are becoming. And that shift in priorities, that shift in thinking happens so quietly in your bones, but it is such a testament to your growth. And so if you've had your eyes open this year, even though it was messy and gritty and difficult to accept, I hope you understand just how much that reflects your journey and your strength and how you are growing over these last few months. And along those lines, I think as a last little statement, one of the biggest signs of growth is that you're simply just connecting with the journey of it all. You're connecting with the fact that happiness and growth and change are not these final destination points along your journey. You're starting to understand that life is a series of challenges, moments that are deeply beautiful, and moments that will crash through your life and force you to rebuild. And one of the biggest signs of growth is that you aren't running from it, but you also aren't trying to force it. Your understanding of what is unfolding in your life, you're challenging yourself to see every single day as a step towards the person you are becoming, a step towards a softer or kinder version of yourself. You're understanding that there is no finish line, that you are always in a state of transformation and evolution, that you are always becoming, even when it doesn't feel like it, even when the growth is heavy to hold, even when it feels quiet and light and like it isn't even cracking within your bones. You're learning that it is everywhere. It is all around you. In every moment, and every experience, and every loss, and every season, forevermore. Okay. That's all I have for you today. I really hope these words helped you to connect with the fact that even if you haven't felt it this year, you're growing. You've grown. You've learned. You've come so far. You should be proud of yourself. I hope this podcast really connects you with that because I'm proud of you. And so on that note, thank you all for being here this week. Thank you for listening. Until next week, I hope you're staying safe. I hope you're staying open. And I hope you know that you are so loved and that you are so needed here.